We started this church about 8 years ago. Now, that was a church plant. We started in Fairfax, Virginia. Our main objective at that time was to be able to reach to mainly Africans and people of African descent who were not fully connecting to the mainline United Methodist churches, the Anglo churches in particular. Because of cultural and sometimes we have language barriers. And so we started that. And with time, we realized that we had other demographics that we can work with. And so the Fairfax Church connected with another church in Alexandria, Virginia. And that church was St. Andrew's United Methodist Church. So we merged with St. Andrew's United Methodist Church. And then we have New Life International at St. Andrew's. So you can see how we have evolved. So the Source Collaborative helped us to have internal awareness. Internal awareness was to be able to identify our own strengths, to be able to identify our own areas of weakness, I must say, to be able to also identify the threats to our ministry and also the opportunities we have. And I think that was very, very helpful because the awareness alone was critical to the ministry. And secondly, it also helped us to be able to look at our demographics around us, how to be able to identify who is in this community, what is the issue that are prevalent in the community, who are the people that we can reach based on the people we are reaching in our church. So all those kind of analysis was very helpful in community mapping and all that we did with Wesley. So after getting ourselves equipped, then we identify projects. What are we going to do to be able to meet the identified areas where the pain and the gain we have in our community, how are we going to be able to reach? So then we connected our tools, our strength to the issues in our community. The awareness for our church and the members of the committee, the team, was very, very helpful because one, we were able to identify some of the opportunities we had in our church and in our community. And that was one. The other thing that we realized was that for us to be able to take on additional work that we needed to do as a church, we needed to create a space. Otherwise, we were just going to burn ourselves out. And so we had to cut down about 1/3 of our programs to make room for additional work that we could do. And it was all part of the first phase, identifying areas that we could prune. We call it pruning. We could prune. So we did that. And that is when we had a special, I think, demonstration using one of the things that we learned from our facilitator with some ping balls, ping ball balls that were given to us. And we tried to fill our hands with them. And we realized that our hands could not fill all the ping pong balls.
And Sister Angela and I were up front in the old church on the stage there. And I started putting those ping pong balls in her hands. So she had her hands like this, right? And then her hands got full. And we put another ping pong ball in and she was trying to hold it and it just fell. And I put another one in. We kept going to signify that we were doing too much as a church because we can only hold so much and do it well. So that helped us visualize our transition.
We had 2 Bible studies in a week. And we also had 3 prayer sessions in a week. Realized that really the most important thing is prayer. So we could have 2 prayer sessions in a week, and we could do 1 Bible study in a week, which will be on the Sunday of service.
I agree that change could be scary, but I also believe that it's not only about change. People tend to think that they lose things or they lose a memory when it comes to change. So I think people are willing to be able to accept the change when they realize that it's going to help them. Even though we knew we're going to take away about 1/3 of our programs, we also wanted to be sure that it was going to be beneficial.
I believe that growth is important in the church because it is through growth that we disseminate the Word of God. We spread the Word of God and we live out what God has told us to do in the Great Commission.
Getting the laity to be involved in the church is, for me, very important. It's part of our discipleship process. You realize that Jesus took people that Jesus worked with, 12 disciples, worked with them. By the time that Jesus left us, we had about 120 people. And the Bible says that they turned the world upside down.